Hi, good morning. I former university professor, I have a handout. So hopefully there's enough. It is such a pleasure to be here, and to kind of get in sync with the forms here. One of the great pleasures of getting to practice in different places in the country. Although this is the first Zen center that I've come across in almost 1,700 miles, so thank you for being here. But one of the great joys is, you know, the Soto Zen is strong in this continent, but it is young, you know, and the forms are all slightly different, the chants are all slightly different, and to encounter that ebb and flow of difference and what is also the same underneath that ebb and flow, well, that's the practice itself. Sameness and difference and finding the harmony therein. So I'm not familiar with what texts you all chant on a regular basis. So I don't know if the Xing Xing Ming verses of faith mind, or sometimes it's called trust in mind. It's a variety of different translations. Is that something that you've studied here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Is it, how, maybe raise your hand if it's something like, oh yeah, I know what she's talking about. So a few of you and many of you not. So, and the translations are really different, and I studied comparative literature and religion, but I do not know anything about classical Chinese, or modern Chinese for that matter. So I have no opinion about the different translations, but the translation that I passed out is the one that I've studied with my teacher, Abbot Edgar McMullen, back in Eugene. So, and the title of my talk comes from a line from this Shastra, from this sacred poem that was written in probably in the 6th century Common Era by the 3rd Chinese ancestor, who in the Japanese pronunciation we know as Kanshi Sosan. All right, that was a lot of talk that had nothing to do with what I wanted to say to you, but I wanted to get that out there. And apologies for the fact that I'm in a very scaled down, I mean, it's black, so you know it's Zen, but I mean, these are my trail pants, you know? So apologies. I have my rock suit. My rock suit, this is actually the rock suit I got when I became Ojo-san's disciple, Ejo's disciple, and it has a line from the Xing Xing Ming on it. The line, actually I have to, complete like great space, no lack, no excess. So this is my pilgrimage rocks. So, you know, on July 4th, I left my home in Eugene, Oregon. I left my hubby and my rescue mutt Opal and my sangha and my family. And I started walking across America, and I'm now almost 1,700 miles from home. And it's not just me, there's, right now I'm walking with one other pilgrim. This movement began as a kind of Forrest Gump impulse, like literally that was the image I had in my mind, like I'll just start walking to Washington, not running, walking, and people will come in a very porous vision of this movement. And the urge to do this movement came at a very precise moment for me, February 28th, watching the pro wrestling moment of Trump and Vance meeting Zelensky in the Oval Office, and our Secretary of State sinking into the couches saying nothing as a shouting match happened. And I felt overwhelmed. I mean, so many things that have been overwhelming, right, for a bunch of years. But I felt particularly overwhelmed in that moment, with shame and rage and sorrow, and this feeling that I now identify as very deep grief. I knew I needed to do something, and my body said walk, and as I said, there was that Forrest Gump image in my head. but I didn't really know why I needed to walk. I knew I had to walk, and I knew I had to walk to Washington, DC. But I didn't know what this was. Was this a protest march? Was it a march? What was it? And over the weeks of discernment, there's a lot of zazen being sat. I'm an interfaith person, so there's also a lot of just frank prayer. What is this? Over the weeks that followed, I realized, this is a pilgrimage. And that at the heart of this pilgrimage, like what's at the heart of every pilgrimage, is grief. Pilgrimages begin with a desire to somehow get back home when home feels like it's been lost. So you move. And so I'm walking because I'm grieving for my country, but I'm also walking, there's a kind of double phrase here, I'm walking out of grief. Does that make sense? I'm walking because of grief, but I'm also walking my way out of grief, and I think that's what pilgrimages do. Jikan-san mentioned, that I'm the daughter of German Jewish refugees. My parents were young, they had me late, so that's how it's possible that I'm just one generation away from the Holocaust. And so I carry that with me. But I was also a professor for 20 years, watching the ways in which higher education has been struggling for so long and now is being dealt some death blows. I was a healthcare chaplain watching it. I mean, there's so many things that feel like they are falling apart, and I feel in my heart very strongly, that I was given the gift of this life, and that my parents, there are a lot of refugees who've not been welcomed to this country, and there are a lot of Jewish refugees who did not make it to these shores, couldn't get here. My parents did. I live because they did, right? And they both came here with practically nothing, they're different families, and they both went on to live that, American dream. And they became physicians, both my parents did. So that linked to healthcare, and it's amazing. And just this beautiful, look outdoors, you guys, this beautiful world, like this feeling of I've received so much. And the grief comes because it's like, watching it. There are some uplifting moments in this talk. I know I'm like a downer right now, but watching that just be squandered, right? So much ache there. Here's the uplift part, right? That if pilgrimages are, as I'm saying, always about grief, they're also always about faith, right? That there is a way. There's a way. There's a way to get home. And we're walking that way. We all of us are. And so I've come to talk about this walk. Liberty Walks is the name of the nonprofit. And the reason it's liberty is kind of a weird word. And if you see our logo, it might make sense, it might not. Liberty is a weird word because it's coded. People sometimes think, are you a libertarian? Like that word liberty, do you know what I mean? Like the word liberty can have connotation. But I'm thinking Statue of Liberty, and I'm thinking liberty is walking. And so our logo is like literally that green lady with a backpack on and boots, hiking up her skirt. She's walking. Liberty's walking. It's moving. It's a moving thing. This lady that was in the harbor that literally welcomed the boats that my parents' families came on. It's a moving, living thing. Liberty Walks. So this Liberty Walks thing is an act of faith, I've come to say, in the we of we the people, right? That there is a we, and that it's also a moving thing. It's not a fixed we. I don't know who the we is. At the simplest level, I feel like I've been walking in the experience of great division, as we all say, there's so much division, we're all divided. But to literally cross the divide, to walk and meet whoever we are. it's a walk that is an act of faith in this audacious experiment that has fueled our nation state for, nearly 250 years. And in the process of walking, Eugene, Oregon, pretty blue, right? I very much burst that blue bubble. We walked through Eastern Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, the sand hills, which are beautiful, but also endless. And over the course of these almost 3 months now, that faith of walking, has actually been quite affirmed. I've learned that pretty much everyone is experiencing grief, although the causes of that grief we don't necessarily agree on. If don't talk about, as someone said to me in the Eastern Oregon, in the desert of Eastern Oregon, she said, you don't talk about climate change with these ranchers, but you talk about water. They're all talking about water. So our words and our concepts and our understandings of what is hurting, that may seem completely incommensurable. Like we can't compare them, we can't talk about them, we can't share, but in the wake of whatever latest violence we're experiencing in the headlines, we can all go, oh yeah, there's a lot of violence out there. Now, what names we attach to it and what incident we're referring to, we might not be able to get there. And that's, I think, part of the problem right now, is that we don't have a thing to do with our grief that humans, deeply social animals that we are, have always done with grief, which is to collectively mourn, to walk together through the land of grief. That seems really hard. So, what this walk is doing, and I'm gonna pivot in a moment to talk about my specific understanding of faith as informed by Zen. So we're gonna move into more, frankly, dharmic kind of material in a second, but for me, what this has been is eating a lot of casseroles in a lot of church basements with beautiful people and talking from the heart. Although I think that we can't talk our way through the things that are hurting us as a we now. This is very depressing to me because I was, a humanities professor, so I really believe in talking and discourse and critical reasoning, but we don't have a firm ground to stand on. So liberty walks, because we don't have a common ground that we can stand on to have those conversations, to find, if we talk about it this way, we can agree. And I've come to the conclusion that actually what's most interesting about my neighbors and what's most interesting about me, not how I voted, not what positions I hold, not what my beliefs are as content. That's the least interesting stuff about me. That's not what the people who love me love. That's not, we talk about no self here, but there's a me that the people I meet. And that's not my positions, that's not my vote. That's not even my beliefs. So a lot of casseroles, a lot of talking about grandkids and kids and pets. Everybody wants to talk about their dogs and their cats, don't they? And a lot of just love. So one of the things I've been saying these days is empathy works, discourse not so much. So how do we do that? How do we do that walk of empathy? When a rancher in Western Idaho sees my tattoo, which for those who know, these are tarot symbols, very strong Christian, evangelical Christian rancher sees these, and she's like, what is that? These are symbols from the tarot. I know many Christians think the tarot is not so good. And she's like, yep, that's right. So what do you do, right? What do you do? How do you do this thing of meeting from the heart, of empathy, when we're all kind of quickly magnetized to what we believe, and then that quickly takes us to where we're different and where we can't cross a divide? What do you do? So I don't know that I'm going to answer that question, but I want to read a little poem, and then I want to talk a little bit about verses in Faith Mind, of Faith Mind. Is this making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Esther, would you be willing to hold up your tattoos
Oh, so they
to the camera?
tattoos.
And somebody showing there.
Oh, someone's showing there.
Okay.
Yeah. Tattoos are not a problem with some of the ranchers and farmers and, the tattoos are fine, but tarot tattoos, maybe not so fine. She said, that looks like a cross. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of Christian symbolism in the tarot, but we left it at that. Okay, so I've been on the road for 86 days. It's been a little bit longer than that since I've seen my favorite sight in the world, which is, besides the face of my husband, which is the ocean. And this is a poem called Ocean by Mary Oliver, although she was talking about the Atlantic, which doesn't count. I am in love with ocean, lifting her thousands of white hats in the chop of the storm, or lying smooth and blue, the loveliest bed in the world. In the personal life, there is always grief, more than enough, a heartload for each of us on the dusty road. I suppose there is a reason for this, so I will be patient, acquiescent, but I will live nowhere except here by ocean, trusting equally in all the blast and welcome of her sorrowless salt self. Let me just read that one more time. I am in love with ocean, lifting her thousands of white hats in the chop of the storm, or lying smooth and blue, the loveliest bed in the world. In the personal life, there is always grief, more than enough, a heartload for each of us on the dusty road. I suppose there's a reason for this, so I will be patient, acquiescent, but I will live nowhere except here by ocean, trusting equally in all the blast and welcome of her sorrowless salt self. So here's another question. What does it mean to trust equally in all the blast and welcome? What does it mean to trust equally in the chop and the storm and the placid blue bed, right? In the stuff we don't like and the stuff we're like, And I think that's the question. That's a question that Kanchi Sosan is asking in verses of Faith Mind. That's the question at the heart of how I think our tradition defines faith. Like, how do you trust in this and in this? Right? And I think there's a fair amount of necessary confusion in confronting that question and grappling with that question. It's a koan, which means it's a question that you live, you're not going to solve. But I think we try to solve it. We try to figure out, like, how do I gain a kind of equanimity in the midst of everything? And I think in many ways Zen communities right now, that we tend toward the progressive, we tend toward a sense that this is a very, very, very bad time in our country. Not all Zen folk believe that, but a lot of us do. And so we're like, okay, well, what do I do with all the turmoil in me and the turmoil beyond me? So for some of us, we think that the goal is to get past reactivity. Like, that's the only goal. is to get past reactivity, to just be able to go, well, equanimity means even-minded. It means I can be the same in the blast and in the welcome. And when you sit a bunch of zazen, actually you do get better at somehow finding equilibrium, whether there's blast or there's welcome. I mean, this is the great beauty of zazen, right? The great beauty of, well, just meditation, just sitting still for a while, which is what my zazen looks like much of the time. I'm just sitting here. I don't know I'm doing anything. Zazen is good for nothing. I'm just sitting here, but you know that feeling like, oh yeah, I got some meditation mileage under my wheels. I can just be equanimous. And the Xing Xing Ming, the Verses in Faith Mind, seems like that's what it's wanting for us, right? So the supreme way is not difficult if only you do not pick and choose, neither love nor hate, and you will clearly understand. Be off by a hair, and you are as far from it as heaven and earth. If you want the way to appear, be neither for nor against. For and against opposing each other, this is the mind's disease. Without recognizing the mysterious principle, it is useless to practice quietude. And it's useless to sit zazen unless you recognize. Be neither for nor against. The way is perfect, like great space, without lack, without excess. So when I first encountered this, I was like, okay, I'm supposed to neither pick nor choose. And have you, I think a lot of us encounter within Zen this sense of, okay, no gaining mind, no preference. I really don't like my coffee this week, but I won't complain to whoever the Tenzo was because I shouldn't have a preference. Does this ring any bells for it's like, I'm not supposed, this zafu is too big for my butt. I'm not gonna complain. I asked Jikan to give me a small zafu this morning, which thankfully he did. I'm not gonna have a preference because that's not Zen. I'm supposed to be equanimous, be neither for nor against. When I first came across this Shastra, I just thought, this is a joke. I mean, it felt like this cosmic joke to me. It felt like, it's a joke, like no diss to Kanchi So-san, to the ancestor. But I thought it was like when the old saw of going to your doctor and saying to the doctor, it only hurts when I laugh. And the doctor's saying, well, then don't laugh. Like it only hurts karmically if I pick and choose. Well, don't pick and choose. No, good luck with that. Is this making sense? Like that's what it can feel like. Oh, okay, yeah, no, good luck neither picking nor choosing. Because I'm gonna end up doing it. So haha, I guess it's like our bodhisattva vows, beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Like, oh, good luck with that. All of them? Forever and ever? Good luck. It can seem like it's setting us up for recognition that there's an impossibility here, which I think is a correct reading of it. That there's an impossibility here which we embrace, and that embracing is the boundlessness of vow, of this practice. But I actually think, and this comes back to this walk, that the practice of being neither for nor against is absolutely possible, but not in the way I thought it was. This is not about equanimity, nor is it about can I just become like Switzerland and just, be like the Goldilocks, like I'm neither for nor against. I'm not picking, I'm not choosing, I'm just neutral. Is my goal in walking across America to somehow be impartial, somehow be in the middle? Well, literally, I'm in the middle right now in Nebraska, and Nebraska looks like a lot of juxtaposition. Its middleness is not because people are people are super nice here in a way that is a little unsettling, but it's not, it's not just because people are sort of the bland between salty and sweet. although some of the food has been bland, but it's not that. No, the food's been amazing, by the way. And I gotta say, I love my Zen tradition, but Methodists really put on a feed. They really do. Neither for nor against isn't about somehow being in the middle. And it's also not about somehow just magically being equanimous, allowing that both things are equally fine. What this practice of neither for nor against is, it's a practice of saying, watch how you don't just have preference, but you shore up your preference by pushing off the outside world. So it's not just, I like chocolate, it's vanilla's bad, right? It's not just, I am for this, it's I am for this because I am against that. You see how we do that? We continually want not just to be the beings we are, but to shore up the beingness by saying, this is secure, solid for all time, I'm good, I'm standing on firm ground. I'm not standing on firm ground. Liberty walks. The ground is not firm. The ground is not firm. One of the biggest teachings, how am I doing time-wise? One of the biggest teachings in the Mahayana is the teaching that a bodhisattva has nowhere to stand. You see that verse, that phrasing all throughout the Prajnaparamita Sutras, all throughout the teachings of emptiness in our tradition, that bodhisattva, being on the path, you have nowhere to stand. Taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is not about firmly planting your position in the truth. What it is about is completely owning this karma, the being that you actually are, without the capacity to defend it, to shore it up against all criticism, all attack, to shore it up against being wrong, to make it last forever as this is who I am. The sea the ocean that Mary Oliver celebrates can be equally all blast and welcome because it is continual transformation. It is many things. So how do we trust in our own oceanic truth? I just want to close with two images because I think there's something vertiginous, vertigo-ish about this practice that we should not be afraid of, that we should make our home in. So not the moments when Zazen we're just like, I'm sinking into such peace, but the moments when Zazen is not so fun, embrace those moments. Those are your greatest teachers. So the two moments of vertigo, they're two very different experiences of groundlessness that have become touchstones to me. One is when I fell in love with my hubby, which was also very similar to when I first met my teacher. So those moments when you're just like, oh my goodness, nothing is going to be the same. And this, I'll just give you the image. My husband's name is so now this is back 25 years ago, and we were just getting to know each other, and I was over at his house and he was playing me all his music, which were LPs, people, okay? These were actual discs. He's playing me his music. This moment of where you share your things you love, and I'm listening to all of his music, and I suddenly just got, oh my God. And I'm like, I left something on in my house. I lived right next door to him. He was my next door neighbor. I gotta go check on the oven, and I skedaddled very quickly. It was so like the ground had opened up, and I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. So that's groundlessness, right? That we love. I mean, right? I mean, it was terrifying, it was wonderful, and whatever, blah, blah. It ended up okay. My boyfriend at the time would not have said it ended up okay, but it ended up okay. It was messy, it was wonderful, it was blast and welcome, right? The other vertigo moment happened the day after the election. And I was not in Eugene, my husband and I actually had gone to Albany, which is a nearby city, and is quite red, because like many places, red, blue, it's all patchwork, right? And we were actually trying to buy him a suit. And we went to this haberdashery, and it was like lovely, and we're looking at suits and da-da-da, and then we went next door to a place that was a cheesecake store. I'm like, that's all they sell is cheesecake, this is fabulous, and I'm in a great mood. Well, I'm not in a great mood because it's the day after the election, but I'm like feeling pretty good, pretty okay, going to this cheesecake store. I realized that their mood was really different than mine, like they might have thought the day before ended really well. And then I look on the wall and there are all of these, it became clear I was in a very Christian family-owned business and that they were really happy. And I identify in many ways with Christianity, so this is not but it felt like, oh my goodness, I am suddenly in a place that's really different and I'm not at home. I'm not at home here. Who are my neighbors? Where is my home? And I've had versions, does this kind of experience resonate? I've had versions of that experience many, many times, like, oh, am I safe? Am I okay? Is it okay? Are we okay? Are we? Is this my neighbor? That's also the same groundlessness. We have to make ourselves comfortable with not having a place to stand, which just means making ourselves comfortable with being who we are, because that is the only place we can be in order to meet who you are, who you are, who you are. We've got to find better comfort in meeting the world standing right where we are, which is not solid ground and never has been. And our tradition calls that faith.